The rich colors and inspiring music of K-animation spark the imagination and capture the eyes and ears of children around the world. Non-violent Korean animation that focuses on good influence. Through adventure and friendship, learn valuable lessons and realize the importance of friends. Covering topics such as family, friends, and courage, they help children learn how to interact with the world. Embark on imaginative adventures with new friends and dream together. K-Animation's special stories will warm your heart.
It's Christmas Eve here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. Starting with the full resumption of diplomatic and security events between South Korea and the U.S. Senior diplomats of Seoul and Washington agreed to entirely resume bilateral diplomatic and security schedules that were postponed due to the turmoil that resulted from the martial law order. The two sides also agreed to further tighten the allies' combined defense posture against any North Korean provocation. President Yoon Suk Yeol continues to refuse to accept notices to appear for questioning requested by the Special Investigation Team, while the Constitutional Court says the first preliminary hearing on Yoon's impeachment trial will take place as planned this Friday, despite his persistent refusal to accept court papers. According to the Kremlin, the North Korean military may take part in Russia's 80th Victory Day celebrations next year. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says over 3,000 North Korean soldiers have either died or been injured while fighting alongside Russian forces. Senior diplomats of Seoul and Washington met up in the U.S. for the first time since the declaration of martial law. There, the two sides agreed to pick up their diplomatic and security agendas that were put on hold due to the order. Our Paeunji starts us off.
First Vice Foreign Minister Kim Hong-kyun met with his American counterpart Kurt Campbell as South Korea works to put relations with the United States back on track amid political turmoil following the brief imposition of martial law earlier this month. This is the first time that a high-level meeting has taken place between the two countries since President Yoon Suk Yeol declared martial law on December 3rd. Kim reassured the United States that governance under the acting president is operating stably in South Korea and showed hopes on strengthening bilateral relations as well as a trilateral partnership with Japan.
U.S.-Japan trilateral cooperation, building upon the achievements we have made so far, not only for the remainder of the Biden administration, but during the upcoming new U.S. administration.
Campbell, who said he wishes South Korea well in a challenging period, said they're seeking to underscore their strongest possible commitment.
Our expectation is that the critical mechanisms in the U.S.-RK relationship will remain in place, and we believe that a meeting schedule is important.
Following their meetings, Seoul's foreign ministry said on Tuesday that the two sides agreed to fully resume diplomatic and security events that have been put off and hold them at the earliest possible and mutually convenient time. Earlier this month, the two countries postponed a session of the Nuclear Consultative Group, which is their key nuclear deterrence body. But with only about a month left until U.S. President-elect Donald Trump takes office, concerns remain as to whether South Korea will be able to handle issues such as the cost-sharing for American troops in South Korea. Trump had demanded a five-fold increase in Seoul's contribution during his first term, and recently tapped Elbridge Colby as Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, who had previously argued that South Korea must defend itself, and that it should consider independently developing nuclear weapons to deter the North, further raising concerns within Korea. 배은지, Arirang News.
In the meantime, the planned questioning of President Yoon Suk Yeol this week remains unclear, as his office reportedly refused to comply with the second summons requested by the investigation team. Our Kim Jong-sil reports.
The Special Investigative Team, including police and the Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, or the CIO, revealed on Monday that Yoon's office continues to refuse to accept notices to appear for questioning. This follows earlier refusals of similar requests, casting doubts on whether the investigation can proceed. Notices sent to Yoon's office and residence have been either rejected or left unopened. The team had requested his appearance on Christmas Day to address allegations linking him to the orchestration of the December 3rd martial law crisis, where he's accused of leading efforts to seize authority, sparking concerns over legal defiance. Legal experts say this refusal to cooperate could have significant consequences.
The way he's refusing to take delivery of these notices, refusing to attend either the prosecution or the CIO to answer questions, and essentially refusing to cooperate with the investigation in and of itself can constitute grounds for impeachment.
Adding to the tension, investigators are analyzing Yoon's personal phone records separate from his secure government line. Investigators are also looking into 7 figures, including former Defense Intelligence Command Chief No Sang-won and current Chief Moon Sang-ho, over so-called hamburger meetings, covert gatherings at a fast food restaurant where they allegedly discussed the details of martial law. A notebook seized from No apparently outlines troop deployments and plans to provoke a North Korean attack near the northern limit line, intensifying suspicions of he's leading martial law efforts despite his civilian status. Meanwhile, Yoon's legal team argues that impeachment should take precedence over criminal investigations, citing former President Park Geun-hye's case. Critics, however, question whether this stance is a deliberate attempt to avoid accountability as a sitting president with suspended powers. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
And the Constitutional Court has announced it will deem its legal documents delivered to President Yoon Suk Yeol despite Yoon's refusal to receive court papers, meaning the first hearing set for Friday will proceed as planned. Let's discuss more with Professor Baek Eun-seok this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So Yoon will now be considered to have been served necessary documents related to his trial, regardless of whether he received them. Now, why do you think the court made such a call yesterday?
I think the court has decided to move the case forward without undue delay in the face of President Yoon's repeated refusal to receive any notices and documents from the court. I think the Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court made it very clear from the very outset of this case that the court will move, quote, swiftly and fairly. And I think this decision on service reflects the court's intent.
The court also said it will hold the first preparatory hearing in Yoon's impeachment trial this Friday. That is planned. That also has to do with the urgency of the case, right?
Certainly. Given what is at stake in this case, once again, the court wants to move swiftly and fairly in this case. Apparently, the decision to apply the service by mail in this case was decided on the same date, which was last Thursday on the 19th, when the court fixed the date for the first pretrial hearing, which is to take place on Friday, the 27th.
Right.
So basically, the court decides to stick with the initial scheduling.
Well, the big next big day is December 27th, this Friday, like you mentioned. Then what is this preliminary hearing? Walk us through what the hearing is and why is it an important one for Yoon even?
As a general matter, a pre-trial hearing or preliminary hearing is the occasion where the lawyers from both parties meet with the judge to basically streamline what's to come in the main trial. Things that are done during that time usually involve identifying the key issues of dispute and determining the scope of evidence and also the selection of witnesses, together with fixing the schedule for the main trial. And so it is important as a general matter. And I think it's important for President Yoon in particular, because this would be an occasion for him to get a better sense from the other party, that is the prosecuting party, what their arguments will be against him. So it would be in his best interest to be part of the process.
Indeed. I mean, but the thing is, Yoon's legal team, they say the team is not done forming its members. The question is, what happens if they don't show up this Friday at the hearing? I mean, will they be held responsible for their absence?
Well, President Yoon's side would not be penalized, technically speaking, but in other senses, again, I think it would be in his best interest to be part of it. He has apparently formed the legal team for his criminal prosecution, but not so much for the impeachment part. So his, representative, unofficial, I suppose, spokesperson has indicated yesterday that the President Yoon takes the impeachment trial more important than the criminal prosecution part. But the legal team for the impeachment case has not been formed yet. And as things stand now, very high likelihood that his team will not be present at the pretrial hearing this Friday. The court may proceed without holding pretrial hearing at all, which was the case in the very first impeachment case against President Roh Moo-hyun. And in the second impeachment case against President Park Geun-hye, there were 3 rounds of pretrial hearing. And so it's up to the court whether to hold it, how many pretrial hearings the court will hold. And I think given what is at stake in this case, the court is very likely to want to have a pretrial hearing. And so if President Yoon's team doesn't show up this Friday, which is very likely, then the court will likely to fix another date for a pretrial hearing. If this continues, again, it's up to the court how the court will proceed. But I think, as Chief Justice indicated at the very outset of this case, the court intends on moving forward, quote, swiftly and fairly. I think that's the policy of the court.
So it wouldn't be a surprise if his legal team doesn't appear this Friday. Now, can Yoon's legal team take as much time as they want to complete the team members then?
I think the team may, or maybe the President Yoon's side may ask for an extension of time. And I think the court may be willing to work with the President's side on this matter. But again, a further delay would not be a very good idea. It would not be in the interest of the President Yoon's side at all. And it would be, once again, a great disservice to the whole process and great disservice to the whole country. Technically speaking, if President Yoon fails to put together his legal team, then the court may even appoint a public defender in order to move forward with the proceeding. And some constitutional scholars in Korea have actually suggested that. But again, it's up to the court to decide. And I think in the best interest of President Yoon, in terms of doing his service to the country, to have his legal team ready and to cooperate with the process.
Right. Well, we'll have to wait and see what actually does happen on Friday. Professor Baek, thank you so much for your time and your insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and have a good Christmas.
And despite heavy pressure from opposition parties, acting president and Prime Minister Han Duck-soo has decided to postpone the review of special counsel bills targeting President Yoon Suk Yeol and First Lady Kim Gun-hee. Kicking off a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, Han hinted that not enough discussions on the matter are taking place between lawmakers. Han also said ruling and opposition parties need to collaborate to navigate clashes between legal interpretation and political views, such as special counsel bills and constitutional court appointments. Han added that if the ruling and opposition parties fail to create a fair legal framework for the investigation, distrust and hatred in South Korea could deepen. But the bills can still be approved ahead of the next cabinet meeting on December 31st. The National Assembly's Special Committee on the Nomination of Constitutional Justice has just begun its hearing on the third and the last nominee recommended by the Parliament to join the Constitutional Court of Korea this winter. The opposition lawmakers of the committee are questioning candidate Cho Han-chang, who was recommended by the ruling People Power Party. Now, the lawmakers aim to get Jo, along with the two other nominees who were questioned the day before, confirmed by the whole Assembly at a plenary session this Thursday. But there are strong objections from the ruling party, which argues that the nominees, even if confirmed by the Assembly, cannot be appointed by an acting president who does not hold the same authority as the president. And the political instability rooted in the abrupt martial law order has shaken up the consumer sentiment here in South Korea. Our Park Gon-woo has the details.
Consumer sentiment in South Korea is worsening amid the ongoing political turmoil. On Tuesday, the Bank of Korea released its Composite Consumer Sentiment Index for December, which showed a drop of over 12 points on month to 88.4. That's the largest drop since the 2008 financial crisis. A CCSI below 100 indicates a pessimistic view of consumer sentiment compared to the average of the past 2 decades. And key components of the index, including the current economic assessment and economic outlook, saw their steepest declines in recent years. An official from the central bank attributed the downturn to factors including the political crisis since the short-lived martial law order earlier this month, along with ongoing concerns of a slowdown in exports with the second Trump administration. The official added that any recovery in consumer sentiment will depend on how quickly the political uncertainty is tamed. The instability has also affected the $1 exchange rate that hit a 15-year high above 1,450 last Thursday, while the benchmark Kospi hit a 1-year low earlier this month. Amid these economic challenges, Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok on Monday made a gloomy forecast for the Korean economy next year, with growth in 2025 estimated to fall short of the Bank of Korea's potential growth estimate of 2%.
Given several downside risks, the economic growth outlook for next year will inevitably be downgraded and will likely fall slightly below the potential growth rate.
Also on Monday, during an economic ministerial meeting, Choi pledged to prioritize restoring people's livelihoods by fully mobilizing government resources. He shared plans to vitalize the domestic economy through policies for each sector, including tourism and construction. Choi added he'll do his best to ease the burden on households by addressing essential living costs, including food and housing. Further details are set to be announced early next week. Park Gon-woo, Arirang News.
Amid expectations that the U.S. Federal Reserve will ease the pace of interest rate cuts next year, the U.S. 10-year Treasury bond yield has continued to rise. According to U.S. financial website MarketWatch, the U.S. 10-year Treasury bond yield rose 7.6 basis points from the previous trading session on the New York Stock Exchange to close at 4.595% as of 3:33 p.m. Monday. At one point during Monday's trading session, the yield surpassed 4.6%. That's the first time it has exceeded the figure since June. Now, the Bloomberg noted that investors are expecting the pace of interest rate cuts to slow and are raising the possibility of worsening U.S. fiscal soundness under the incoming Trump administration. The Kremlin says it's likely that North Korean troops will participate in next year's Victory Day in Moscow. The comments also come as U.S. intelligence says it was Pyongyang that offered to deploy troops to Russia, with Moscow not requesting military assistance first. Our Lee Seung-ja has more.
Russian foreign policy advisor Yuri Yushakov said Monday that he believes North Korean troops would most likely participate in next year's Victory Day parade on Moscow's Red Square. According to Russia's Sputnik news agency, military contingents from several countries will participate in the 80th anniversary of Victory Day, when Russians commemorate the Soviets' World War II victory over Nazi Germany in 1945. Russia's defense ministry also said last month that its defense chief invited the North Korean military to take part in the Victory Day parade during his visit to Pyongyang. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said Monday that more than 3,000 North Korean soldiers are believed to have been killed or injured since being deployed to the Kursk region to fight alongside the Russian military. Zelensky made the comments on Telegram following a briefing by his top military commander. The Ukrainian leader added that North Korea is likely to send more soldiers and military equipment to Russia and vowed tangible response measures to such actions. And a recently released New York Times report says U.S. intelligence believes that North Korea offered to deploy North Korean troops to Russia without Moscow requesting the military assistance. This contrasts with Western officials who initially saw the North Korean troop deployment as a sign that Russia was desperate for a troop reinforcement. The newspaper article says while it believes it was the North's idea to send troops, Russian President Vladimir Putin quickly embraced it. The report also says that U.S. officials believe Pyongyang has not yet received anything from Moscow in response to its assistance. However, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is hoping that Russia will repay him in the future. Ukrainian and Western estimates say North Korea sent around 10,000 troops to the Kursk region to fight alongside the Russian military in a counteroffensive. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Now, let's take a look at the stories from around the world with our Kim Seong. Good morning, Seong.
Good morning, Dami.
So, Seong, let's start with the latest in U.S. politics. Isn't U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's ally, Matt Gaetz, under fire?
Yes, that's right. A report into allegations against Gaetz, who was formerly nominated for Attorney General by Trump, was released on Monday. Now, the U.S. House Ethics Committee report says it found substantial evidence that the former Florida congressman paid tens of thousands of dollars for sex and drugs while in office. Citing the final draft of the Ethics Committee's report, CBS News reported that Gaetz paid over $90,000 to at least 12 different women, likely in connection with sexual activity and/or drug use, violating House rules and standards of conduct. The report also stated that a woman, referred to as Victim A, had sex with Gaetz twice at the age of 17 and was paid $400 by him. Now, Gaetz has repeatedly denied all wrongdoing. His lawyers had attempted to temporarily block the publication of the report, which they say contains untruthful and defamatory information on Gaetz. A day before the release of the ethics report, Gaetz spoke at Turning Point Conference alongside Trump, saying that he may run for a seat in the United States Senate. U.S. President Joe Biden on Monday commuted the sentences of 37 out of 40 federal inmates on death row, reducing their penalty to life in prison without parole. While Biden's measure does not include over 2,000 inmates convicted to death by state authorities, he has commuted almost all federal death row inmates. Only 3 are excluded: the Boston Marathon bomber and the Charleston African Methodist Church and Tree of Life synagogue shooters. Now, Biden's move comes just before President-elect Donald Trump's return to office. Trump restarted federal executions during his first time in office after no executions have been carried out for almost 20 years. Earlier in December, Biden issued 39 presidential pardons and commuted the sentences of some 1,500 people who were convicted of non-violent crimes. Japanese automakers Honda and Nissan announced on Monday that they have formally agreed to hold talks on a possible merger. Such a deal would create the world's third largest automobile group by vehicle sales, following Toyota and Volkswagen. The talks are also set to include Japanese car manufacturer Mitsubishi, which is already in alliance with Nissan. Nissan CEO Makoto Uchida said the potential merger would allow accomplishments that neither company could achieve alone. Now, Honda CEO Toshihiro Mibe underlined a growing competition with the rise of Chinese power and emerging forces, saying that they would like to lead the world once again. The two Japanese car makers said that they aim to finish the talks by mid-2025 and, if successful, would set up a holding company by August 2026. Santa Claus has departed on his reindeer-driven sleigh from his home in the Arctic Circle. Santa greeted the crowd that gathered on Monday at the Santa Claus village in Rovaniemi, northern Finland, before setting off to deliver Christmas joy around the world. The Santa Claus village, which attracts more than 500,000 annual visitors, was created in 1985 to provide an all-year-round Christmas experience.
The deep freeze continues on Christmas Eve, with cold wave alerts remaining in place for much of the northern parts of South Korea. Central and inner regions are seeing morning temperatures dropping below -10 degrees Celsius. Pyeongchang woke up to a low below -16 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, afternoon highs will also be lower than yesterday, so do bundle up tightly for any outdoor plans you have today. But Christmas Day will be warmer than Christmas Eve. Dry air, however, continues in East Coast regions, and strong winds and dry air mean the risk of wildfire is very high. Afternoon temperatures will be 1 to 4 degrees lower than yesterday, topping out at just 3 degrees in the capital, Daegu at 8 degrees. But sunny skies expected nationwide all day today. But it's going to be rather cloudy on Christmas Day in most places, with snow flurries in the forecast in mountainous regions on Jeju and Gangwon-do that night. Then things will get bitterly cold again from Thursday afternoon through to Sunday. Well, that's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
That's all we have for this morning. We'll be back on Thursday at the same time, 10 a.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.
AI, what are some dishes you should try in Korea?
Recommended food to eat in Korea are Korean barbecue, fried chicken, kimchi, kimbap, kukbap.
에이, 이걸로는 부족하지. 진짜 한국에선 어떻게 먹는지 알려줄까? K-바비큐? 신김치랑 먹어야지. 치킨? 클래식한 치킨부터 한강뷰 치킨까지. 치맥 페스티벌은 처음이지? 김치? 종류만큼 먹는 법도 가지각색. 김밥? 시장에선 이렇게, 산에선 이렇게. 바다에선 이렇게 국밥 취향 따라 입맛 따라 마무리까지 완벽하게 이런 한국 와보지 않고는 모를걸?
K-drama, the charm of Korea that captivates the world. Love like a K-drama. A story of us where hope and despair coexist. Fun and refreshingly satisfying. K-dramas carry warmth and move people's hearts. Meet the fascinating stories of Korea through K-dramas.
We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are a news generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Tuesday, December 24th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and this is News Generation. Today, we're joined by Kwon Ji-yeon.
Merry, Merry Christmas Eve.
Merry, Merry Christmas Eve. And Julian Kim.
Merry, Merry Christmas Eve too.
Merry, Merry Christmas Eve too. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. So it's Tuesday, so we're going to start off with today's keyword news. And our keyword for today is Christmas, as today is Christmas Eve. Christmas celebrations in Korea have grown to transcend religious boundaries. And one standard example is the Choge Order of Korean Buddhism, the largest Buddhist sect in the country. country. Now this year, as in past years, the Choge Order held its annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony at Chogesa Temple, its headquarters, last Tuesday. The order says this event was organized to symbolize harmony between Buddhism and Christianity. Another notable example is Busan's Pomosa Temple, another temple under the Choge Order, which recently hung a Santa Claus doll on a pine tree near its entrance. And the temple is also displaying a banner celebrating the birth of baby Jesus. So I want to ask our panelists, what are your thoughts on these practices, especially at a time when Korea is going through political and social tensions?
Yeah, so I had no idea they organize events like this. I think it's a beautiful gesture that showcases respect for other faiths and cultures, especially around this time of the year when many people celebrate other different holidays too. I think it's a thoughtful and fun gesture. I'm sure many people would enjoy seeing a decoration. I know personally I would really enjoy seeing the decorations too.
Right. So Pomosa Temple once again is in Busan City, and if you are planning to visit Chogesa Temple, it's in Seoul's Jongno-gu district for your information. And Juyeon, I want to ask your thoughts on these practices too.
Well, I do think that these practices reflect a beautiful spirit of mutual harmony between two religions. By celebrating Christmas, you know, the Choge Order is sending a powerful message of shared humanity. And the sight of a Santa Claus doll at Pomosa Temple and a tree lighting at Choge Temple highlights the blending of traditions in a uniquely Korean way.
Right.
As a Christian myself, I once visited a temple and enjoyed a humble yet delicious meal at a temple, appreciating the peaceful atmosphere on Sunday after church.
Right, so we're definitely seeing these practices unite different religions into one.
Indeed, indeed.
Right, and that was our keyword news for this Tuesday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. Today we're going to talk about what's trending on Korea's cultural front. Take a look at the screen to find out more.
Tomorrow is Christmas, one of the most anticipated holidays of the year. While Christmas originally is a Christian celebration of Jesus' birth, in South Korea, a country without an official state religion, it's widely celebrated in a more secular way. Families and friends gather, exchange gifts, enjoy festive meals, and decorate Christmas trees. How are you planning to spend this Christmas?
So as mentioned earlier, today is Christmas Eve, which means that tomorrow is a big day, which many of us look forward to, which is Christmas Day, which is the reason why we're all dressed up in like Christmas in red and blue. Now, while the pre-Christmas season is often joyful with dazzling lights and holiday tunes playing everywhere, this year has been more subdued in Korea. The political turmoil following President Yoon Suk Yeol's short-lived martial law order cast a shadow over the festivities. But still, I want to ask you, do you have any plans for tomorrow, Christmas?
Yes, I do. Well, first of all, today we will have a small family gathering today with my husband's side. And everyone's bringing something, and I'm in charge of fresh raw fish today. You know, it's always a hit. And on Christmas Day, we'll head to church in order to celebrate baby's Jesus' birth. And it's sort of a tradition for my family, for myself, to dress up as Santa Claus every single year. And this year, I prepared a very special mask ready, since my first child, my first son, is starting to figure things out. He thinks that Santa is mummy and keeping the magic alive, you know. And the kids are so excited. They have been counting down the days, and I just love how Christmas brings everyone together like us.
I mean, they must be super excited.
Indeed.
I mean, considering what you're doing for them, Juyeon, you're dressing up as Santa Claus.
I am, tomorrow.
So you are going to have some family time tomorrow for your Christmas.
Absolutely.
Then what about you, Julian?
Yeah, so this is actually going to be the first time I get to spend Christmas with my parents since 2019.
Wow.
So I'm super excited to be able to spend some time with them this Christmas. We're planning on just spending some quality time together, eating some good food. One of my closest friends of 17 years is actually going to be spending Christmas with us this year, so I am very excited for that. But yeah, other than that, we have no set plans. We might go see some Christmas light decorations here in Seoul, but we'll just decide the day of. And for everyone celebrating, especially those going through tougher times, I wish you a very Merry Christmas, and I hope your holiday is full of love and joy.
That's a very heartwarming message for all our viewers out there. Now, Christmas is celebrated in many parts of the world in various ways, but for our viewers who might be curious, Juyeon, how do people in Korea typically spend Christmas Day?
Well, in Korea, Christmas isn't quite like in the West. It's not a traditional family holiday where everyone gathers together. It's more of a one-day public holiday, and people, regardless of their religion, often spend it with friends, partners, or loved ones.
Right.
The atmosphere outside is festive and lively, especially on Christmas Eve today and the day itself, with crowds filling the streets, malls and city centres. Nearly all shops, department stores, even hospitals, large buildings, streets and even apartment complexes are beautifully decorated to capture the Christmas spirit.
Right.
And the restaurants and performances are incredibly popular during this time, so booking in advance is an absolute must for you. Couples love to make it a romantic occasion. They like to exchange presents, gifts, or dining out. And many people also enjoy visiting theme parks or going ice skating for that magical winter vibe. You know, Christmas magic is real if you can survive the city traffic.
Right, so especially during this time of the year, Korea is kind of like a winter wonderland because we've just seen the footage. There are like LED displays and lights everywhere and just Christmas songs playing on the streets as well. Now, in addition to gift giving and spending time with loved ones that Ju-yeon mentioned, there is actually a growing trend among young people in Korea to find the best Christmas-themed photo spots. For example, department stores have hopped on this trend, creating stunning LED displays and elaborate decorations every year. So I want to ask you, have you visited any of these spots? And if you have, do you have any recommendations for our viewers who might want to check them out?
Sure. Well, if you are looking for Christmas themed spots, I would recommend department stores or shopping malls beautifully decorated for the season.
Right.
The Shinsegae department store, which is located in Myeongdong area that is famous for its stunning exterior, featuring a massive media facade, which is a must visit for younger generation, the MZ seeking the perfect Christmas selfie. I took the kids there on Sunday and we were blown away by the stunning lights and magical winter wonderland vibe. And also this year, Starfield Coex Mall features a grand golden Christmas tree, quickly becoming a hotspot for festive photos. And also the local governments have also set up impressive trees. Chongnogu district has one in Maronia Park, that is Maronia Park in Korean, while Gurogu district and Kumcheongo district have large trees outside the district offices. And theme parks like Everland, they have prepared lots of fantastic options with dazzling decorations and Christmas parades to enjoy for the visitors. And, you know, your phone battery won't survive the photo frenzy, I guess.
Right, so definitely a lot of great recommendations from Ju-yeon. Then here's a quick question for you, Julian. Have you also enjoyed these LED displays at department stores this year? Have you watched them too?
I haven't had the chance to check it out, but I would like to go sometime this week. Yeah, it sounds really exciting to go check out.
Right, definitely. And I think that these days it has definitely become more like a competition between different department stores to kind of show to draw the public which department store has the most festive and grandeur LED displays or lights. So it's definitely worth checking out if you're visiting Korea sometime during the Christmas season. And another festive attraction that's drawing huge crowds here in the country is Korea's Christmas markets. Now, though originally from Europe, these markets have become a holiday favorite here too over the past several years. And several markets are currently open in the country, right, Julian?
Yeah, so there are many Christmas markets here in Seoul, and they are indeed very popular. The Jamsil Lotte World Mall and the Hyundai Yeouido are cool spots to check out.
Right.
They have unique photo zones, Christmas goods, mulled wine, cookies, and more. However, they may require tickets to enter, but if you don't want to pay for an entrance ticket, you can check out the Seoul Christmas market at Gwanghwamun. There's the famous Gwanghwamun tree, and the Cheonggyecheon Light Festival is also nearby, so it's worth checking out.
So have you visited any of these markets, Julian, this year, or are you planning to?
I have not so far, unfortunately, but I am planning on doing so this week.
Well, you have a lot on your list. You have to check out the LED displays and also the Christmas markets. Then what about you, Ji-yeon? Have you been to these markets?
Yeah, I went to the Gwanghwamun market as well last Sunday.
How was it?
It was so wonderful. I mean, it's a great spot to take pictures as well. selfies especially.
Right, and there are a lot of things to buy to Christmas ornaments,
and also food
and drinks.
Yes, of course.
Right, so the Gwanghwamun Christmas Market is in central Seoul near Gyeongbokgung Palace and of course the Gwanghwamun Gaetz. So if you have time, take a look around that area as well. Now to find out more options on how to enjoy Christmas the best way here in Korea, we also asked our viewers which Christmas themed spots in Korea they'd like to visit, and here's what 3 of them said. If we look at our viewers' comments, Jelly K126 says Cheonggyecheon Stream and the Gwanghwamun Christmas Market. The blend of tradition and modernity in these places is almost surreal. Benny D97 says, I love to visit Jeju Island and Hallasa Mountain during Christmas to see how the views change when covered in snow, and the department stores in Seoul too. Luke Hartman RO7HL says, Gyeongbokgung Palace is magical any time of year, but I love to see it in the winter time. Some great recommendations from our viewers. Now for more tips on how to make the most of the Christmas season here in Korea, we'll soon be joined by a Gen Z in Spain after a short break.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
So joining us today is Gabriel Ruiz Benito, a Spanish Gen Z. Good morning, Gabriel.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Christmas Eve. So, Gabriel, I want to first ask you. It's a pleasure too. So, Gabriel, we want to first ask you, could you tell us what the Christmas season is typically like in your country, that is Spain?
Actually, Christmas season in Spain is the most celebrated holidays all among the year. In Spain, Christmas is everything. We have like almost 3 weeks of holidays if you are like in a school. And for us, it's a gathering of family, which is the most important event of all the year. Actually, in my case, we are 8 brothers and sisters, so it's very difficult to gather all of us. But today, this Christmas, after 10 years trying, we did gather all the family and spend magical times together. We put a lot of emphasis on like singing things together around like the fire or like the television in the living room, and making magical memories together is kind of the main point for us.
Lovely, Gabriel. Then, have you ever stayed in Korea during the Christmas season? If you have how is Christmas in Korea different from Spain?
Yes, actually, I've been like 12 years in Korea this far, so I've been 12 years. Even though I come to Spain very often in Christmas because it's very important for me, I am there most of the time of Christmas seasons because I don't have the time to be here all the time. But yeah, I feel like Christmas season is all have been like evolving between the years. Like I feel like 10 years ago there was not that much LED or that much more lighting or that Christmas spirit, but it still is like nothing in comparison to Spain. In Christmas, Spain is everything. You feel like the magic in the air, and Seoul is very lacking in that part. So yes, I feel like in Korea, people think more like a day that you have to date someone. Actually, there are a lot of jokes in Seoul, like, hey, you don't have a boyfriend, you don't have a girlfriend, you still make one by Christmas. It's already like at that time of the year. While in Spain, it's completely like ridiculous to think it that way. It's way more family oriented.
So going off of that, what is your favorite spot to visit during the Christmas season in Korea? And could you tell us why?
I have to. Actually, I like to go to Myeongdong or Songdang because I am Catholic. So actually, I like to go to Mass during Christmas season because for me, it's a very familiar thing that I do with my family. So even though I am not here, it brings me back there. And the second one that I really love to visit, and I actually did a week ago, is like the Cheonggyecheon light stream, because it's like you can go with friends, you can talk. It's a very good spot for pictures. And also the Gwanghwamun Christmas market is right next to it, so it's very good. And of course, I've gone to many of the very fancy shopping malls, like light festivals. But for me, the best one is Gwanghwamun one.
And before you go, Gabriel, I just want to ask you, how are you planning to spend your Christmas day this year?
Well, with my family here, as I told you, I'm very blessed that it's gonna be the first time in 10 years that I have my 8 brothers and sisters here, and I have already like 11 nephews. So we are a very, very big family. It's very difficult to gather all of us. I even sent like a video of my family singing carols, drinking a lot, eating a lot of tasty food, making jokes. We are actually a crazy family. We party a lot and also like do some board games. It seems that it's gonna be a magical evening. So yeah, I'm getting like really looking forward to it.
Sounds like you're going to have a very exciting and memorable Christmas. Thank you so much for your time today, Gabriel, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Right, so with Christmas just around the corner, that also means that there's only a week left until the new year. We're soon going to say goodbye to 2024. So ending off our episode today, could you please share your end of the year plans?
Well, I will focus on bringing my broadcasting and business projects to a strong finish till 2024.
Do you have a lot of plans or work left?
Yes, till December the 31st or 31st. And I'm planning to jot down around 10 New Year's resolutions. The kind of thing for me that I always do, you know, before I start a new year. Reading books are always on the top of the list, but even though I don't accomplish that much, working out and be kind to my kids, that will be on the list as well. And although I will be working on the first day of January next year for the news, it feels like I'm starting the year a day earlier than most of us, and kicking off with extra energy. The early bird gets the tteokguk or rice cake soup first, isn't it?
Right. Then I want to ask you, June, how has 2024 been for you? How do you remember?
Well, first of all, it was lovely to meet you guys in New Generation for 2024. And, you know, it was a marvelous year for, I think, meeting with new friends, doing a new job, and having fun with my family and 2 kids.
Well, here's to many more in 2025, right?
Thank you.
Right. Then, Julian, what about you? What are your end of the year plans?
Well, just like Julian, I am planning on writing, I'll say maybe 10 years resolutions. And yeah, I plan on wrapping up this year, reflecting on what I've learned and experienced. This is my first and officially the longest time I actually spent in Korea. So there are definitely a lot of things that I want to process before starting the new year fresh and ready to go. Yeah, I learned a lot of lessons, gained a lot of perspective that I never would have gotten back home. So I want to use them as tools to build an even better next year. But other than that, I honestly plan on taking it easy as much as possible, finishing up some schoolwork, and preparing for future endeavors planned in the future.
And you also mentioned how you are going to like jot down at least 10 New Year's resolutions. So if you can, could you share a couple of them?
Yeah, so I am trying to read more books because honestly, I set this New Year's resolution every year to read at least one book. And
did you succeed this year?
Not yet, but we still have about a week left, so I will try my hardest. But yeah, other than reading a book, I want to just really go outside, explore the city more, work out more, just try to be a better individual every day as much as I can.
And before we went on air, you talked about how you learned a lot and you had a lot of new experiences. So could you please share more about that too?
Yeah, so one thing I learned, I am ashamed to admit this a little bit, but I didn't realize bungeopang, the fish red cake in English. I didn't know all the winter seasonal food, so after the show today, I am planning on buying some. I'm very excited for that. And yeah, I just learned so much about my own culture, and it's been a very eye-opening, rewarding, and wonderful experience that I've had in Korea. And I've got to meet both of you this year, so I really enjoyed my time here so far.
Lovely.
Same here. And that's all from Newsden today, but we'll be back on Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. We're taking a day off as tomorrow is Christmas Day. Special thanks today to Kwon Ji-hyun.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you. And Julian Kim.
Thank you for having me, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. And thank you everyone for watching. And on behalf of our Newsden fam, hope you have a holly jolly Merry Christmas. We are
News Generation.
Okay, I'm all set.